I have really spent my life wondering about whether God exists. And because I've never had a religious experience and don't particularly want one, I really looked at arguments. And your book, 36 Arguments for the Existence of God, sought about to refute every one. Didn't you think one of them had some merit?
My favorite is probably number 35, which is the argument from the intelligibility of the universe. It has basically one premise, which is the principle of sufficient reason. For every fact, there is a reason why it is a fact. That explanation goes all the way down. There's no brute contingency in the universe. And if you have just that one premise, you're going to say that, well, the existence of the universe must itself have an explanation. That why these laws of nature rather than other laws of nature? And why is there something rather than nothing? It's not necessarily true that we can access this explanation. In fact, Spinoza claims we can't. The explanation is infinite and we are finite. And so there's an absolute incompleteness theorem built into Spinoza's worldview. But that the explanation exists is different from that we can get at the explanation. And if there is an explanation for the universe itself, next step, it can't lie outside of the universe. The universe has to explain itself. Because what the universe basically is all explanations. It is all intelligibilities. It had to be, it is the thing that explains itself and its own existence, the thing that causes itself. Call it God. That's God. And that's what Spinoza means by saying God is nature. God is the final theory of everything. That explains why it must be the final theory of everything and which necessitates its own existence. That notion of God I find very convincing. So to me, it's the best argument, but it's not how most people think of God, which is why Spinoza was condemned as an atheist. But if that argument is valid, it undercuts all the other 35 arguments. Not only do you not end up with the view of God of most religions or most religious people, it's inimical.
So if I asked you of the other 35, which was the worst argument, you might say all 35 put together.
I think they're pretty bad. I mean, there are some that are really bad. For example, the argument from the holy books. We have holy books. They were written by God, therefore God exists. I mean, a more viciously circular argument you couldn't dream of. Some of the arguments to me are very poignant. The argument from the intolerability of insignificance. How could we be so insignificant? In a million years, nobody will know that we existed. We must have a place in this universe. There must have been a designer who confers significance on us. The argument from suffering. If there isn't a God, then all the suffering is for naught. These are arguments from wishful thinking. It's the fallacy of wishful thinking.